NASCAR fans, look for good weather and great racing at the end of this rainbow in Las Vegas. Forget gambling lounge lizards in the Strip. We want to see Chevy, Pontiac, Ford, and Dodge battling for 400 miles.
Back-to-back second-place finishes have hometown favorite Kurt Busch in the headlines. We'll see if Roush Racing can continue its dominance in the desert.
Saturday's Vegas Busch race borrowed from the James Taylor song, We Saw Fire and We Saw Rain. You'll see highlights here of a race some thought would never end.
Smoke 'em if you got 'em. Speed News NASCAR edition starts now.
Speed News NASCAR edition, presented by Circuit City.
Hello, everybody. Welcome. I'm Dave Despain. The Daimler Chrysler 400 at Vegas is in the books. Now it's up for review on Speed News NASCAR edition.
I'm Ralph Shaheen. We've got the highlights that made some of the guys in the sports books cry while others cheered. For once, the Winston Cup teams were not walking around the garage area staring at the skies. Clear blue and mostly important, dry was the forecast for race day, as the NASCAR Winston Cup stars took the green flag for the 6th time at Las Vegas Motor Speedway to begin the UAW Daimler Chrysler 400. At the drop of the green, former Vegas winner Jeff Gordon quickly jumps into the lead in front of pole sitter Bobby Labonte, who also loses second to Kurt Busch. Now, lap 47, Ryan Newman is forced to pit early, his Dodge handling more like a Ram truck than a Viper. Next lap, Dale Earnhardt Jr. on the bottom is heading to the front, passing Gordon for the lead. Lap 90, and another DEI Chevy, this one belonging to Michael Waltrip, picks up 5 bonus points for leading a lap. Lap 101, first caution of the day when Larry Foyt and Ricky Craven tangle, Craven getting grass stains on the paint of his Pontiac. During the pit stops, Jeff Gordon comes in 4th, but as a lug nut gets stuck on his left rear tire and loses 8 positions, dropping to 12. Lap 114, hometown hero Kurt Busch brushes the wall and falls to 19th after another round of pit stops. Lap 116, the second caution of the day is out for Mark Martin, whose Ford engine expires, ending his race. Lap 132, Steve Parks slides up the track into last week's winner Dale Jarrett. Last year, DJ was sitting in victory lane here at Vegas. This year, frustrated up against the wall. 5 laps later, Tony Stewart suffers left front damage, causing severe tire rub, but he doesn't pit, and the car becomes extremely tight. Lap 165, Jamie McMurray loses it in turn 4, bringing out yet another caution. On lap 173, after the restart, Matt Kenseth, who has 4 fresh tires, blows past Gordon, who only took 2 for the lead. It doesn't matter, however, because just a few laps later, Rusty Wallace and Mike Skinner get together, causing the biggest wreck of the season so far. Gordon nowhere to go. Busch, Foyt, Jimmy Spencer, and Todd Bodine were all involved. 35 to go in final pit stops. Jimmy Johnson tries to grab the lead by taking just 2 tires. Plan doesn't work because Kenseth gets out quick, and he's still the leader and starts to pull away. With 32 to go, Gordon, who's thinking championship, returns to the track for a few points, but it's going to be hard to make that one fit a template. Kenseth checks out. Matt earns his 7th career Winston Cup win, and the Roush organization celebrates yet another win in the Nevada desert. Meanwhile, Jimmy Johnson gets tapped and spun by Sterling Marlin as they battle to the line. NASCAR, of course, watching these two as they go to the garage, and our Bob Dillner talked to the winner in victory lane after the race.
Last night here in Vegas, Roy Jones Jr. won the heavyweight title, but today at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway, Matt Kenseth, you're the heavyweight champ. Congratulations.
Oh, thanks a lot. This is just unbelievable. My whole Dewalt race team did such a tremendous job today of building me good cars over the winter, just working and working on our pit stops and getting them to where they needed to be. And you know, today they made the difference again. We beat the 8 car out of the pits on our last stop and was able to get up front. And once we got up front in clean air, we could get away.
Early on, I heard you on the radio, I'm just biding my time. You said patience was a key today, wasn't it?
Well, you know, it's kind of weird here. You know, you get going, and you know, we started 17th, and I could only get up to about 9th before the first stop, and the car was doing everything I wanted it to do. I thought we were really, really good, but I couldn't really gain and pass on the guys in front of me. So it was really weird, and you know, as we were able to work our way up there through some good luck, some dumb luck, and some other things, and then our car we could we could stay up in there and even run a little better than leaders, but it was tough to come from behind.
You had the most important finishing spot, of course, but 4 Chevrolets in the top 5. What did you think about the racing out there today between the manufacturers?
Well, I don't like to whine about the rules too much, but I just hope they take them to the wind tunnel here pretty soon, and so we get a good comparison, because I felt like today that the Chevys definitely had a big advantage. Yeah, we were able to win the race, but we won the race because pit strategy worked our way. We got in front at the end and got clean air on the nose. It seemed like when we got behind, we couldn't catch up as good as they could. So, I mean, it could just be a coincidence all the Chevy teams ran that good, but at one time I looked and we were the only 4 in the top 10. So I hope they just check it out and keep it fair. I mean, they're trying real hard to keep all the cars as even as they can.
Matt Kenseth had 5 wins last year. He's already got a victory this year. And how about that? 4 out of 6 years for Roush Racing here in Vegas.
How about that?
Not bad.
And how about the teammates, Earnhardt and Waltrip? No 23-car jokes here. Restrictor plates nowhere to be seen. Everybody but the Johnson fans will applaud Marlin's comeback as Sterling wound up 8th. 4th was your pole sitter, and 5th your Winston Cup champion. Have to go to the next page to find Jimmy. He was 11th, or last car rather, on the lead lap. Harvick looked pretty good for a while. Bill Elliott with a decent 14th place. Jimmy Spencer came back from that spin to finish 17th. So too Todd Bodine back to 20th. Let's hear what some of the other top finishers had to say.
Well, we were good. I mean, that's how good we're supposed to be, you know. I mean, we expect that out of ourselves every week, you know. I'm just glad we finally got the results that we know we can produce. So maybe that'll shut a few of the critics up and we can go on to the race next week.
The guys did a great job in the pits, and you know, we got behind there that one time we took on 4 tires, and you know, it seemed like everything that was happening in front of me. And luckily, I just wasn't involved in anything. But very fortunate that we came out here today with a clean race car. And the guys in the Interstate Battery Chevrolet did a great job and came out with a top 5, a first top 5 in a long time, I'm sure. So it feels good.
Man, I just got too tight. We ran like 4/10 faster than anybody on the first few laps out of the pit, and I knew that was trouble because it meant we were too good then. We needed to be loose then, having to slide sideways and struggle a bit on the early run, and then be good at the end. We got way too tight then. I couldn't do anything with him. Made me mad, though. I wanted to run second, and he come up there and got me.
I don't know what guys are doing out there. I mean, for people to be slamming on the brakes 3/4 of the way down the backstretch, that's something I never have figured out yet why guys do that. But you know, we run into a guy that was there and you know, cost us a bunch of track position. But you know, I'm really proud of this team today.
We're slipping back to the pack, you know, racing hard at the end to try to you know, stay in the top 10 there and get every point that I could. And we went down into 3, and the 40 got into me. I know. I saw the video on TV. You know, I don't really know what's happened at this point, and hope it wasn't intentional. But you know, race clean with everybody all day long, and don't put a tire mark on anyone, and then I get turned coming to the checkers and lose a few more spots. So it's kind of, you know, bumps me out there.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, prepare to find your favorites as we take you on back through the field. You'll be looking for a lot of hard luck guys back here. There's Jeff Green in 27th. Didn't somebody just have something bad to say about him? Kenny Wallace struggling to 30th today. And as we go on back, here come your crash victims, potential winners at the tail end of the field. Gordon and Busch both knocked out by wall contact. Wallace got a lap down and then had contact. And of course, at the tail end, you find last year's winner, Dale Jarrett. Mark Martin, a championship contender, out with that blown motor. Tough week for some.
We're just getting warmed up here on Speed News NASCAR Edition. We're heading back to Vegas for more post-race coverage. We'll also get insight from the guys who called the race. Stick around for Mike, Larry Mack, and Old DW.
Speed Channel's coverage of Speed News Sunday is brought to you by Circuit City. We know the excitement you feel about the latest digital toys. That's why we're here. Circuit City, we're with you. And by Subaru. Visit us online at Subaru.com to see the full line of Subaru all-wheel drive vehicles.
How about Kenseth winning big at Las Vegas Motor Speedway? His 6th win in his last 13 starts. Amazing. And a Ford victory at a track where their Chevys were strong ensures continuing aerodynamic debate. Take a spin there, Kenseth, and we'll have a look at the points.
And we'll begin by checking out the top 10 first. Daytona 500 winner Michael Waltrip is your new points leader. Kurt Busch had the points lead coming into it. He slips back to 6th. Reigning Cup champ Tony Stewart is 5th. Dale Jarrett sits back at 10th.
Give me 10 more. Who's going to emerge from this pack? Martin, maybe not as bad off as one might have expected after the dropout there. Labonte from pole today, the 13th in the standings. Steve Park back in 16th spot. Gordon back in 20th as we look at the early season action.
Well, you know, Dave, Vegas is, of course, full of guys who think they know everything about pro sports.
And for first-rate analysis, we will go back to the track now. The guys who called the race, Mike Joy, Darrell Waltrip, and Larry McReynolds.
The first 100 or so laps of the Las Vegas race dominated by the Chevrolets, but when it was all over, it was Jack Roush and his driver Matt Kenseth standing in victory lane. But the first thing, Darrell, we had a two-groove racetrack. We had a track you could race on.
Yeah, you know, I think it's a product of the downforce that these cars have this year. Plus, I've said all along, I heard Aero Push mentioned one time in the last 3 races, and I think Tony Uri Sr. mentioned it, but I haven't heard the drivers complain about it. I think that's taken out of the equation now. The body location and the common template, the aero matching that they've done, and as you saw, I mean, we've got some pretty mixed results here. Ford won, Chevrolet, so I think NASCAR again has hit the nail right on the head with what they're trying to accomplish with the matching up of all these cars.
And Larry's strategy was important. During the long green flag run, you had to make a couple of pit stops, and teams treated that differently with varying results.
I mean, it really did. And every time we come to Las Vegas, because the racetrack has so much grip and the tire is a very good tire for here, we saw a lot of different strategies, but I think at the end of the day, as hot as the temperature was here, as hot as the track temperature came, definitely at the end, all the cars that took 4 tires, the ones that prevailed. I know Sterling Marlin got into Jimmy Johnson, but I think Jimmy Johnson was about half out of control anyhow because he had those 2 tires. It didn't take much to get him out of shape.
No, I don't know if I agree with that or not.
Okay.
He was down under him and looked like he might have slid up into him.
With what happened, Sterling Marlin getting up into him, Darrell, we talked about 2 grooves. Every wreck that happened here today, it was caused by the same thing. The car on the bottom just didn't stick, moved up a little bit, got in the quarter panel, turned somebody sideways, and end up with somebody in trouble.
You can drive in the corner so hard here, but the problem is, will it stick or not? Of course, on the last lap, you don't ask that question.
No, and that was the last lap, correct.
Because you got 8 tires,
and they're better than 4.
Instead of 4.
Instead of 4.
Dale Jarrett taken out by contact, last week's winner. Rusty Wallace taken out by contact. But the hometown hero, Kurt Busch, and pre-race favorite Jeff Gordon were taken out in the smoke. What is it about this racetrack that when one car goes sideways, nobody can see?
Well, back in my day, we just had sparks. The tires didn't smoke. They wouldn't smoke because they wasn't soft enough. So when you're in that race car and all that smoke flies up, and this place seems to be notorious for that for some odd reason. Could be the asphalt mixture that they use here. It's a little different, I think. But when you're in all that smoke, you're just at the mercy of if that guy is there when you get there or not.
Well, now tighten up your belts, Darrell, because we're headed to NASCAR's fastest speedway next week, Hot Atlanta.
Oh, when we get to Hot Atlanta, baby, let me tell you something. It's like going on a roller coaster ride. When you go around that joint at over 200 miles an hour down into those high bank turns, it takes your breath away. I rode Aerosmith at Disney World. That don't even hold a candle to what Atlanta's like.
Larry, is it aero, horsepower, handling, or is it everything there?
You got it. That's it. I mean, yeah. I mean, it's a 1.5-mile racetrack. They run around there in about 29 seconds. I mean, on qualifying on Friday, some of those guys, they won't even be completely off the throttle. They'll just be breathing just a little bit. But, yeah, you've got to handle there. You've got to have aero, no restrictor plates. You got to have good power, the whole package as normal.
Plus, the way that track is laid out, when you come off the high side of that 4th turn, guy down on the bottom, just like we saw with Kevin Harvick and Jeff Gordon a couple years ago, you never know who's going to win the race. It's a drag race to the start-finish line.
So we'll see you in Atlanta next weekend.
Well, the guys from NASCAR Victory Lane are warming up the studio lights down the hall. Right after Speed News here on Speed Channel at 8 Eastern, John Roberts and pals will bring you even more analysis of every lap from Las Vegas.
Our Cup coverage in Vegas continues in a moment. Drivers talk about the issues that matter most to them in the heat of those post-race interviews.
Then we'll recap Saturday's on-again, off-again NASCAR Busch race. Those bushwhackers continue to put a hurting on the series regulars. Speed Channel's Bob Dillner is never one to fold early. He hung around the track long enough to bring us the latest news from Las Vegas. And Bob, tell us about what's happening out there in the garage area now the checkered flag has fallen.
Well, Ralph, it was a reversal of fortune for Robert Yates Racing today. Of course, last week, Dale Jarrett in victory lane, Elliott Sadler with a top 10 finish. But today, Elliott Sadler with a blown engine and Dale Jarrett in a wreck with Steve Park. And he was pretty ticked off about it. 41st and 42nd, respectively, today for Dale Jarrett and Elliott Sadler.
Right. Yeah, I'd some let go in the drive line. I'm not real sure. They're looking at it right now just to see. Great horsepower again, pretty awesome. But we had a good race car. We didn't start off too good. We were terrible in practice, but they made it better. I think we had a top 10 car.
Sitting there running a race and working on the car, and you got people, I don't know where they're going, but anyway.
We've kind of had a rough weekend, and it's just carried over to today, you know, with the 38 we lost the engine, which, you know, we didn't have probably any trouble last year, so we got some work to do. And then we're in here working on this, and then Dale gets in a wreck, so just go back and regroup.
We just need some good luck on this team. Just 3 weeks in a row, the first 3 races, something bad has happened to us, but we've run good, so that's something to keep our heads held high. Great horsepower again, and we'll move on to Atlanta.
The riches to rags story for Dale Jarrett dropped him from 2nd to 10th in points. A tough blow for that team here today. They came into this event with so much confidence. Well, I want to talk about Ryan Newman because that was a fantastic run for the Alltel team today. 2 laps down. He made up 2 laps here in Vegas and finished 7th. A dynamite run for that team. He's on the move once again here in Winston Cup competition.
All right, Bob, now we saw the Chevys run very strong here today, and a lot of talk already about their advantage. Do you think they have an advantage? And since we're going to Atlanta and there's a wind tunnel right there, will they pull them all into the wind tunnel after Atlanta or maybe before?
Well, Jack Roush is asking for it. He wants all the makes to be pulled into the wind tunnel after Atlanta. We spoke to him in Victory Lane. Of course, the Chevy guys saying, oh, it's all equal. The Ford guys saying, well, I think the Chevys have an advantage on the 1.5-mile tracks, 2-mile tracks, or so forth. But I think it's a little bit too early to tell. We saw 3 races so far. We're going to Darlington, Atlanta, and so forth. Let's give it a few more races before we make an outcome as to what is going on this year with the manufacturers in Winston Cup competition.
All right, Bob, thanks. Try to stay away from the slot machines in the airport on your way home.
And speaking of money, 2002, a tough year for billionaires. 67 of them slipped below the magic number, lost their spots on the Forbes magazine list of the world's super wealthy. What has this to do with racing? Well, NASCAR's France family bucked the trend. Brothers Bill and Jim, sons of the founder, increased their fortunes above $1 billion and regained their rank among the world's 500 richest people after dropping off last year. NASCAR TV lives on Speed Channel. Need proof? Watch Inside Winston Cup with Bestwick, Schrader, and Benson, and the younger Waltrip, Mondays at 7 Eastern, and then the Busch Series version of that show airing Mondays at 11 Eastern. Winston Cup Wednesday then with an enhanced look at Vegas. Well, the NASCAR Busch Series raced the rain date at Rockingham Monday. The haulers struggled through the rain and snow Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, got to Vegas. Qualifying rained out on Friday, Ralph.
That makes the 300-mile race seem easy. To the highlights. To Vegas for the Sam's Town 300. Nice hat. Hat like that will get you a free bowl of soup. Looks good on you, though. There's one for the County Shack fans in the audience. Since qualifying was rained out, the field was set by last year's owner points, which meant most of the Bushwhackers started from the rear. One who did start near the front was Kevin Harvick, who set a track record by leading the most laps. First caution comes out when Michael Waltrip and Steve Park get together and Park goes sliding through the grass. Harvick led until lap 89 when last year's race winner Jeff Burton passed him for the top spot. Lap 116, Harvick takes the lead back from Burton. Seconds later, the yellow is out on the first caution. The 9 car would have an oil and waterline failure and burst into flames. Needless to say, there would be no repeat for Burton this year. With the caution out, the leaders pit. Now check out the bottom right of the screen. That's Michael Waltrip taking only 2 tires and getting lots of track position, which comes in handy on lap 136. Caution comes out as the rain starts to fall. Nobody knows if this is it. Waltrip and Bodine gas it up, neck and neck to the line. Todd Bodine just edging Waltrip at the stripe. The skies opened up and the red flag comes out. But after an hour delay, the race would continue. Race leader Todd Bodine battling Joe Nemechek would lose control and spins with 32 to go. He would finish 19th. That left front row Joe to hold off fellow Cupper Kevin Harvick, which he did for his 13th career Busch Series victory. Mike Bliss would finish a career best 3rd, with Steve Park and Jason Keller rounding out the top 5.
Nemechek came from 27th to win. That's not the front row. Harvick and Bliss started and finished in the top 5. Park came from 28th with a spin, and Keller, who had to change a motor and start in the back, also made chicken salad out of something less than that. Green 6th, Wimmer 10th, should figure in the championship chase. To the post-race comments we go.
Oh, awesome day. Wagner Automotive put a killer motor in this thing. I mean, that thing run good. Started 29th, had to come through the field, and just went right through the field. You know, we kind of got stuck behind Todd and Michael Waltrip having that heck of a battle there before the rain came, but after the rain, we decided to get gas only, and we got to the front, and my car was perfect when it was out front.
Catching him and getting by him are two different things. If I could have got to him, it might have been a different story, but I never could get close enough to get him loose. He was excited. He was pumped up. He was on the radio. I mean, he's not one of those car owners that just sits back and doesn't say much. So we got right there towards the end, and we were kind of on old tires, and he said, just watch you outside because this guy's going to try to jump you on the outside and stuff.
You're like, come on, Steve. But you feel for him because his tires were older, and you know his car was a little bit tight, and you know what he was trying to do and what he couldn't get his car to do. So it was kind of frustrating being there and not being able to help him out.
And there's no race next week, so Bushwhacker Harvick will hold the point lead until Darlington in 2 weeks. Green is effectively the series leader, and Bodine's continuing presence in the top 5 may help attract a sponsor who could help him to stay there for the long haul.
There have only been 3 Bud Bowl qualifying sessions so far this year. All 3 have been delayed by rain, and we are still waiting for a 2-time winner. Jeff Green locked up the top spot at Daytona. Dave Blaney won his first at Rockingham, and Bobby Labonte was the quickest at Vegas.
And tomorrow, when digital calendars read 030303, it will become official. The road from Dale Earnhardt Incorporated headquarters in Mooresville, North Carolina, over toward Dale's hometown of Kannapolis, has already been designated North Carolina Route 3. Teresa Earnhardt will unveil the first highway sign to that effect, noon tomorrow in front of DEI headquarters.
Now, just because an athlete does something spectacular during a sporting event, that doesn't necessarily make him a hero. The Carnegie Medal is awarded to individuals who risk their lives to an extraordinary degree while saving or attempting to save the lives of others. That's a hero. Larry Hicks fits that description. He witnessed last April's plane crash of NASCAR car owner Jack Roush into a lake near his Alabama home. The 52-year-old Hicks, weakened by the effects of cancer treatment, in an effort to free Roush from the cockpit, made 3 underwater dives to the wreckage site. Suffering first-degree chemical burns in the process, Hicks pulled an unconscious Roush to the surface and resuscitated him. Thursday, Larry Hicks and 18 others were honored by the Carnegie Hero Fund Commission. Well, that's your NASCAR news for today. I'm Ralph Shaheen.
And I'm Davis Payne, and with one last congratulations to Matt Kenseth. Don't go anywhere. Yet more motorsports fun is just around the corner.